I want you to imagine that there is something that you learn to do that is something maybe you picked up quite early, like riding a bike or a sport, or maybe even driving a car that you've done. And the way you learned it is the way you've always done it. And then I want you to imagine that you go to do that certain thing and you go to get on a bike, and in the time that it's taken for you to go and do it that time, they've changed the way that it works. They've changed the way that you have to pedal or the way you balance or something like that. And all of a sudden you've got to relearn that skill. Maybe you get in a car and they've switched the order of the pedals around. And this year has been a bit like that. We've learned how to live over the course of years and years and years. And then a year ago, they announced they're changing all the rules. And when Boris sat in that room a year ago and said, now is the time for us all to stay at home, there is a real interesting challenge to us about how we have learned to do things again. How we've learned to exist when we're not going out and we're not socializing as much. We're not getting to see people. We're not able to meet as a church. We're not eating together like we used to. And it struck me that as we come now to the end of a year of being locked down, being let out a bit, being let out a bit more, being locked down a bit more again. Then there was all the tier bits where we went good, bad, worse, better, worse, and then there was lockdown again. And all the rules kept changing. How have we learned to do life this year? Now, there's certain things that I've quite enjoyed in the last year. I've quite enjoyed the fact that maybe in the evenings, Rebecca and I haven't been going out as much, and we've had a bit more chance to just sit and chill. There's certain things I've really missed. Just the chance to go and catch up with someone, have coffee, just sit in somebody else's house with them and just sort of relax with some cake. Always with the cake. But the question that I'm asking today is, when we look forward now to the start of this next year, we're going to have to keep some of these lessons that we've already learned, but we're also going to have to remember some of the old ways of doing things as we bring them together. It's like, I remember years ago, my dad had a new car and it was his first hybrid, and it was part electric and part petrol, and it had some of the best bits of both in it, but it also had some of the worst bits of both. And as we go forward, we're going to be living a bit like that, a bit with hybrid elements to our life. And do you know what? As we come to the end of this year, this year of lockdown, as we look to the 29th of March and the first bits of rules being eased, and then the 12th of April, which is where I can go and get my hair cut, and then to days beyond that, what does it mean that we're learning about life that's important? And in the Bible, we get this book called Psalms, which is this collection of songs and poems that people have written. And one of them is written by a guy who is King David. And he writes this poem about his bad day. He writes a poem about his day where he just isn't coping. And the psalm says, how long will you forget me, Lord? How long will you hide your face? He's saying basically, it's a really tough day, and I don't know how much longer I can go on. And he even calls out to God and says, look on me and answer, O Lord my God. Give light to my eyes, or I will sleep in death. He's saying, I can't keep on. And I know we've all said that kind of thing in time that's gone by. But he ends remembering what he knows about God. And he ends with the words in Psalm 13, verse 5, but I trust in your unfailing love, for my heart rejoices in your salvation. I will sing to the Lord, for he has been good to me. And whether it's through the good days or the bad days, God has done good things, and he's shown us we can trust him. And the question today that I want to ask is, as we learn to take some lessons from COVID and how that's all been over the last year and what's been important, and to take some of the life lessons from our old life before that, how do we put God as the thing that brings it all together? How do we bring God into that gives us a new hope? How can we say, I will trust in God's unfailing love and my heart will rejoice in your salvation? Today, as we hopefully meet for the last time on WhatsApp and we look towards meeting in church again, let's say what's important at the minute. What do we really need to hold on to? What have we got to celebrate? What have we got to mourn and to grieve? And how do we go forward from today into a new beginning and a new future?